Hi everyone, my name is Michael Ozaki and this is 3 Questions, a chance to sit with normal members of our community, regain a little bit of what we've lost in the quarantine, and listen for God's still small voice through what we call contemplative conversations. This week, we sit with Cam Richardson, and I love this conversation because of the way that he's willing to wrestle with the idea of being at peace but also struggling with the work that needs to be done and the ways that he might be able to change. May you listen for the still small voice speaking to you through his honest sharing and time.
Cameron Bruce Richardson. I am a son to a mother and father, a father who passed away last year, and who my mother and father divorced. So I'm a son of a divorced couple. I'm a grandson to a grandmother and grandfather who were incredibly involved in my life. So I am a family man. I would assume because of my experiences and how much joy I got out of my family kind of brought out of me through those experiences, despite divorce and all those weird things that happen in life. Family man mentioned Adeline and Anwin, my 2 young daughters, my wife of 14 years now. I am a scientist and passionate about it as I am about...
And that's time.
Oh, jeez.
That's quick, right?
When Adeline, my oldest 7-year-old, was born, we had very intentionally said we need to raise our children if we have more than one in the church. And so the first time I came to State College, it was because we'd kind of gone around just to see different churches, and we like sitting up in the balcony, and there was just kind of an overpowering sense of awe. I get that periodically too. So I mean, it's, you know, anytime I feel that sense of awe. Actually, the other day had a little, I think it was a sweat fly or something. It just repeatedly agreed to land on me in different hand positions because it was tickling my knee. So I said, "Get off of me!" But then I left my hand out, and again, another period of awe. But yes, I think that would be the feeling where God is with me.
You mentioned this experience of awe. Mm-hmm. What makes that or those moments possible? Or what made that moment possible for you?
Well, I've tried my best to slow down. So in another part of my life, we look at mindfulness and meditation type stuff. So I try to really be mindful of what's happening in the world, in my life. So just to be present and looking for it, I guess, would be.
Is there anything you do that makes that mindfulness or that presence easier?
Physical separation from others. So I love connecting with others, but then there's also a love I have of separating out. I remember back in middle school, we went out to what was it? It was some type of retreat for middle schoolers, secular retreat, and we were asked to go out into the woods and write some contemplative poem or something. I can't remember what the details were, but it was kind of the first time I remember separating myself out from kind of the hustle and bustle of my mind and other people around me. But yeah, I'd say that's how I typically seek it out, and how it typically comes to me is just in those silent times where I try to be purposeful about finding it.
Yeah.
Even for that sweat fly or sweat bee or whatever it is, I was just out on the front porch without the girls around. And
even as you're speaking, I'm thinking of the times when Jesus, right, goes off on his own, and I keep saying that he's doing it over and over again, and what a focus there is on Sabbath. And we think of Sabbath as like the day, right? But Jesus had like this rhythm of Sabbath in aloneness all the time, right? He's like this intensely. His life was intensely social, of course, right? But it was also intensely alone, just him and God. Yeah.
Well, I found it rejuvenating because, again, I love people and I love hanging out with people, but I have all that personality stuff that some people just get energy from people. I don't necessarily get energy from people. I like hanging out, but it's completely rejuvenating to have those cycles of connection and aloneness. But.
And I think even those extroverted energy from people, there's still a need to be on your own, right? To examine your own energy.
Right. Questions. I think what I have, if I may, is just struggles. Because every time I think about a question, then I try to go back. I'm in a Bible study with a few folks, and it's been wonderful. But I don't know that there's any active questions I'm pursuing, if that makes sense. So I can't bring one to mind.
Is that comforting?
Yes, for me it is. And I want to be clear too. It's not that I repress questions if they come up, but I'm just at the moment I don't know that I have any. Certainly, it's a ridiculous time. Again, I'm speaking freely, and but then I keep thinking back to scriptural stories and all that, and how much ridiculous stuff human beings have had to endure for the entirety of our existence. And this, I think, like you've said in prior sermons, this is nothing compared to what folks have had to endure. I still get 3 meals that I go to a grocery store to put in my belly. So yeah, I think it's a season of very strange things, and I kind of weep inside for all the folks that are losing so much. Like for me, again, it's one of those things that. But yeah, I don't have any questions.
I think oftentimes not having questions can come out of two like completely different spaces, right?
Yeah.
I don't have questions because I'm at peace with what is.
Right.
And there might be mysteries, but I'm just okay with the mysteries.
Right.
And then there's also, I don't have questions because it's too painful or it's too scary to ask those questions. And so I'm just not going to think about it.
Right. I think I'm more of the former.
Yeah.
It sounds strange to say you're at peace because there is a lot of ugliness in the world, but there's always been a lot of ugliness. So I think, and I just saw out in our backyard a hawk took a baby bird out of a nest and just started ripping it apart while the mother watched, or the father, whatever it is, but terribly ugly thing. But as I was watching with my girls, and I think it was Anowin that was getting not distressed, but certainly calling out the fact that that's not fair or something. And I was like, well, yeah, but how does that hawk eat otherwise? I mean, you kind of think about, could it go after a fully grown bird? Sure, and chances of catching that bird are significantly reduced. And so I keep going back to Genesis story or whatever that kind of links up in my mind, and I'm thinking that there's a beauty in the ugliness in some way, because there's potential for there to be something more. I think it's a peace that's unsettled, if that makes sense.
Sure.
that it's not a fear that I can perceive, but yeah.
Which is the difference between peace and apathy. Right?
Right.
Some people just don't care.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I'm a nihilist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is meaning to all of this. And,
You care very much about it going on, very aware of it.
Yeah.
There's a peace that in some sense you are in the midst of it where you're supposed to be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not gonna rage against the machine, as it were, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a beautiful world. And so.
Let's give ourselves a minute.
I still need you, Father, trusting in this great unknown. I still need you, Mother, comfort me until we're home. I still need you, sister. Tell the truth and dare to.
Right now, I'm feeling called to do more for folks in duress or who are oppressed systemically. What makes that hard is the other things I've committed to, and I would say, it makes it hard to be a husband, to be a father, and maybe I should say the type of father I want to be in terms of involvement with my children, and to be a husband and father, I'd say. I love those roles, and yet I'm kind of feeling like I'm called and yet unable to answer the call as fully as I would like to, if that makes sense.
What is it about being a father and husband that feels like it rubs up against this other calling?
I'll just call it selfish, whatever. But again, to your point, try not to defend what's coming to mind. Is that I don't want to be chronically tired, if that makes sense. So that time devoted to sleeping, that contemplative stuff, and I'm finding that there's little left other than, so I try to do some stuff, try to contribute to organizations that are doing that work on the ground, try to reach out on Twitter, and just kind of, I'll just say fight against some of the incredible hate that I see on that platform. Hate in a lot of directions too, but I feel like I'm being called to do more than what I'm currently doing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, to your question, it's just time consuming being a father and a husband.
Yeah. And
I love it, but there's that tension that I don't have resolved at this point in my life. So
yeah.
But again, back to our earlier discussion, I think I'm at peace with all of it for the majority of my life, and it is, and I'm sitting in it, and I'm trying to muddle through the best I can with God's help, with the help of colleagues, friends, spiritual advisors, all that stuff. So.
Which is the main command, right? Be at peace. Right? Do not worry. Have faith. Be at peace. And assuming that from that peace, the real fruit will flow, right?
Right. Yeah, and that, so that's kind of strange to me because I do feel at peace, but I to your other prompt, I don't know that the fruit, at least of what I feel like I'm being called to do, is able to flow freely, if that makes sense. So that's a weird thing that just came to mind. And just, so. But yeah, you can hold both of those up at the same time, be at peace, and still know that there's work to be done.
Strengthen me and help me see.
I'd just say maybe a thank you. Thank you to you for this opportunity. It's been fun. These things, they're rejuvenating. I'm glad I forced myself to take this time in the midst of a work day to do this just one more. I've heard beauty. I've heard stupefaction. It's kind of just constant for me. I've heard the awe. I've heard the curiosity. I've heard that still small voice.
Cam, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Grace and peace.
And to you.
Mother, father, sister, brother, I believe we need each other.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Yeah, of course. More opportunities to hang out, I'm all for it.